Chit Chat Show, let it go. We're talking țesătorico. Chit Chat Show, don't you know? Sonny Soul did the show stop and go.
Yay!
Working! Yes! Hi! Oh my God.
We finally made it. We were able to find the perfect time to do it.
Your first mistake was trusting my math.
But you know what's worse is that Jenny from Mama Bear Jenny Dolls, she's sending me a website where you can calculate the different time zone, and it's kind of lost in the conversation, so I can't access it. So when you said 4 p.m., I was like, yes, that's good. But I didn't realize that it's probably earlier your time zone.
It worked out. It's all good.
Yeah, but you have Eastern time zone, that's
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So, as you probably know, what I do in Chit Chat Show, I like to call out for something the person, like you, for example, doing your story. And what I found impressive is that you don't care about articulated body. And that is quite something that I was like, she managed to do it. I'm all about articulation. I love made to move bodies and all that thing because I'm mad about that. But how did you just get into it and not caring if they have a lack of articulation?
Okay, I do care because all my main characters, all my main, like he's not made to move, but he does have, they have elbows and knees at least.
Okay.
So they do have, but I don't like made to move elbows. They're just because they're weird looking to me. I love posability. And it's funny because I know you do a lot of action figures, right? And like Bobby is an action figure and he has kind of the elbows. Well, he's an older one. The newer ones have the elbows. All my dolls are pretty old because they're from thrift stores, most of them. But yeah, I just don't like the way the elbow joint looks. It looks really weird to me.
It kind of look more like a doll somehow because you can see the double jointed. It doesn't look natural or realistic or anything like that. So yeah, I can't get it. But
that's not really my big problem with it. My big problem with Made to Move. I'm a communist at heart. That thing is a racket because people have stopped now so much, but when they were new, I don't know if, when they were new, it was like, everybody's like, oh, make all the fashionistas, make everything made to move. Why won't they make everything made to move? And I'm like, no, sweetie, because you go out and you buy, you buy a $10 fashionista just for the head. Yeah. Then you buy the $15 made to move just for the body.
If you are a United States, because in here, a made to move body is about, the cheapest one is 25 euros. But when you go for a look doll, for example, the recent wave is 40 euro.
Right.
Just for a body.
So much more expensive where you are. Yeah.
Welcome to Europe. We have social security, but we don't have a doll that is budget.
Right, but you don't have to do a GoFundMe every time you get sick.
That is quite true. You need some priorities. So as Malcolm said, introduction. So this is Caroline. Right. She is owning the doll account called Gumball. And why is it Gumball, by the way?
Okay, Gamble Acres. First of all, it's supposed to sound like a neighborhood here in the United States. If you live in the suburbs, they put up a bunch of houses that mostly look the same and they give it a name. Mm-hmm. Like I live in Woodbine Estates, which sounds fancy, but it's not. It's just a normal neighborhood. Oh, so I came up with Acres. Mm-hmm. Gamble is named after the showrunner of Supernatural, Sarah Gamble. Okay. And I thought her last name sounds cool because gamble in English is a verb. You play cards, you bet money.
I was thinking that maybe it was related to poker, all that thing, and gambling, and I wasn't really sure about that. But the fact that you call it gamble is quite a good connection because you are having a doll account that was related to the TV show Supernatural.
Right. I'm just, yeah, it's a fan account, really. It's a fan fiction,
And I was
but
wondering, well, usually I do have like three main chapters, so let's not get lost on that. So
yes.
basically, I have three main chapters. The first one is about you as a doll collector, your storyline, and the behind the scene. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's go in order. Me as a doll collector.
Okay. So why and how did you, because I'm guessing that you were having dolls as a kid, lost track during some period of time and got back. So tell me a bit more about the getting back into it.
Okay. I did have Barbie, but the dolls that got me started on really loving dolls were called Sunshine Family. They were also produced. They're smaller. They're about maybe 8 inches tall.
Because I think that we have a different name here. I think it's called the Sylvanian family or something. Is it the little rabbit?
Oh, those are the little. Those are different. Those are little animals.
Yeah.
These were Mattel dolls that came out for a very short time in the 70s. They didn't last long. It was mother, father, and different ones. I had the baby, and then some of them came with a little girl also. I only had the baby. And then they made grandparents.
Are they the same size as Barbie, or are
they're
they
little shorter than Barbie?
Okay.
Yeah, like the adults were about the size of a Skipper doll. So, but the thing with those was they came with furniture and stuff and a house, like Barbie, but they came with instructions for how to make your own things. Like you could make, I remember making a couch out of a tissue box, and I made a chair out of a milk carton because they taught you how to do these different crafts. And I loved that so much. And when my kids were grown, I still had my dolls. They were in very bad shape. The eyes tend to drop out. They had little inset eyes. They're very tiny.
Cool.
Oh my! Yeah, they were really cool, but they dropped out. And I don't, at the time I didn't know how to fix things like that. So I threw my dolls in the trash. But I know. But before I threw them away, I had the Barbie A-frame. I'm going to just real slow turn my camera real quick.
Oh, God.
Just by the window. Can you see the A-frame there in the corner?
It just was mind-blowing because I feel like this is a doll room.
Okay. Yeah, never mind. And people know, people know what the A-frame is. You can Google it if you don't. I bought one at I bought one at a yard sale, and I put my, they're smaller, but they fit in it all right. And I set it up, and I was like, this is fun. But then I was like, I wanted more. I wanted, to bring in like the whole world for them. I wanted a neighborhood and all this stuff. And so, Barbie is the obvious choice because, as the joke says, that bitch has everything.
That's true. That is quite true. I think this is something that is quite cool about Barbie is that they come with many doll houses, furniture pack, fashion pack, dolls, and everything. So, well, you can get a bunch of things starting with Barbie.
Right. And like a year or two after I got started, they started the Fashionista line with all the diversity, which we had never seen before. So it was very exciting. Yeah. So, yeah, I love Barbie. For all her faults, I think she's awesome.
That's how you get back into it. And do you remember which one you got it first when you started the Fashionistas?
My first Fashionista, I brought dolls with me, and I'm in my room, but I set them up, and my lighting is terrible. Darn it! I thought I was being good. I thought I had this all going. Darn it! I'm moving my light to the other side. It's a rainy day here, and so it's dark and miserable. I don't have a single Fashionista out, but here's this character in Supernatural is named Missouri. She was, the actual person was on the show, and this is the doll I got to represent her. My first Fashionista was a Billy face. I don't know how to say that right. Yeah. And so next question.
And how did you thought of doing a fan fiction? Is it actually? I'm getting confused. Is it a fan fiction, or did you just kind of get the missing link on the original material? How would you just call it your story?
I would call it a fan fiction doll. It's obviously a doll story. Um, you know, I actually saw. I was a member of a group of fans of Supernatural, like a Facebook group. They would post memes of the actors and things, talk about the show. And a member of that group posted her Barbie collection that she had dressed to match the actors' show, and this, none of them were customized. She just picked a fashionista or whatever that looked sort of like this. And I saw that and I was just like, like I could do
This is how
that.
you got into it. Okay. But this
Yeah.
is funny because it kind of reminds me of what happened with Medea from Dark Shadows, Dollhouse. It's kind of the same thing because she started the same way as you said. She was on Facebook on a group of Dark Shadow fans and she met the Barnabas dolls and action figure. And this is how she started doing this. So it's quite funny to see that it's quite a similarity here.
Isn't it? I she didn't know me. We follow each other now. We didn't know each other. And when I saw her account, Dark Shadow, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody else. This is one thing I've always loved about the internet, because obviously as a kid, there was no internet for me. I'm 57 years old. No matter what strange or weird or wonderful thing you have, you can find somebody like you on the internet. So, yeah.
That is a good thing coming along with the doll community, and especially with the internet, is that you can connect with people that you can relate to more easily. There's a dark side, but let's focus on the good side for once.
Exactly. There's so much good. That's the thing.
We have to focus on that. I agree. And you started because of that account, and what was the process to find the perfect Dean and
Sam? Dean
and Sam. Exactly. That's one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted my dolls to look a little more like the actors, obviously, but I didn't have any skills and I didn't know anyone who did this sort of thing at the time. There was one, he was always in the news, and I can't remember his name, but he's a Filipino man who does celebrity dolls, and he paints them, beautiful, beautiful repaint. I've never seen an account or anybody reference him on Instagram, so I don't know, if he's up media.
It sounds familiar that he has the 1/6 scale figure dolls, and he always glue real hair on the scalp, and the doll is just amazing. So I think we
real artistry, and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So and then I heard about reroots, but I was like, oh no way, that's too much. I can't do that. Well, I found this fashionista with articulation, and I wanted them to be able to move at least a little bit. So I was thrilled to find this guy, and I was like, Dean is easy because he's just a classically handsome face, so any doll could be Dean.
I agree.
So I started by painting his eyes, repainting him to be green. I put a few freckles. You can't see it in my terrible light.
Well, if you want to see the freckles, we got to go to your account.
Right, exactly.
That's how we do it.
But he had brown hair, and so I had to just take the plunge. I watched the YouTube videos and read all the accounts of how you do it, and I ordered the little punchy thing, the needle, and you just take the plunge and you find out that, oh yeah, this is tricky, but I can I can learn new skills.
Yeah.
So and then Sam, similar, he's on a Prince body. Mattel made several movies with Barbie as a princess, and this is the prince. So he's big and tall, and he's got the I guess now kind of vintage Ken face.
Yeah.
His neck does not turn at all. I had to, because with action figures, you've got that all that neck stuff, and his vintage head didn't match his vintage body, and so I just sawed him off and stuck it on with super glue.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
he can't turn his head, which does limit, it limits his expressiveness, but I just make jokes because, obviously I love the show. I love the actors, but they started when they were like in their 20s,
Yeah.
and, new at it. And for a long time, the actor who played Dean was much better at acting than the actor who played Sam. So I just make this joke that, it's Sam. He's very, wouldn't. He just
He
doesn't act very well.
he can pivot. Well, it is actually true, but well, I just watched the first season. I didn't get hooked, to be honest.
Sure.
Even though, but I'm thinking that it's kind of the those kind of shows that if you didn't watch it when you were a teenager, or when it was, at least when it was really happening, at the time, I think it's quite hard to just be able to get into it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, for example, my go-to is always Buffy and Charmed. Those are my favorite TV show, and I like to rewatch it over and over again.
Right.
But
Right.
my boyfriend, who didn't watch it when when it was on TV,
When it's fresh. Yeah.
yeah, he can't relate or connect with the TV show. When with us, it's kind of, we grew up with it, so it's kind of
Right.
part of us somehow in the culture. So I'm thinking that probably why I didn't get hooked, because all the supernatural things is kind of my go-to usually, and I love the fact that they're doing like a buddy movie kind of gender of TV show. They was all in
Right.
a car, always going to different cities, and I like that concept, but I didn't get hooked. You're glitching, or is it me that is glitching? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. But I heard you. I understand. I don't get upset I never get upset when people say, I never watched that show, or, or so followers. And I know that that's not a big number, but to me, I'm like, are you kidding? Like,
Girl. Yeah.
that many people are willing to look at my, and I don't get mad when people don't read. I know a lot of people just look, because I'm like, yeah, it's a lot to figure out. Like, who has time in the day for all of it?
Well, actually, when I see a post, because the thing is that it's quite a good opportunity to talk about it, because Instagram is doing quite oddly recently. Some people have many issues with their feed content. And for example, my feed those past few days, I only see content of people that I don't follow, like comic strip or sponsor ad or something, and I have to click to just have what I follow of the content of the people I follow.
Right.
And I see that some people have lost that option. They can't choose if they want the following or the For You page kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool to, in my opinion, share on the story you posted the new things, because story I can watch it and then I can know which one is new or something. It's a new episode. So that's kind of something that I wanted to just drop here in the middle of the conversation. Yeah, because your post, for example, I see your story with your new episode, and sometimes I just read it and I feel like I missed something because we jumped or something different, and I go to your account and I realize, like, yeah, there was 3 posts that I didn't show, that didn't appear on my feed. So yeah,
Right.
so
Doing that every time, it limits me to 9 pictures in the carousel, 9 story pictures plus the one, you get 10 pictures.
well, I have 20 now, and you froze.
I know they're testing out, giving you more. You get 10 pictures in the carousel, and so one is my title card that tells you, where we are in the story. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, because it was kind of freezing for a moment on your side, which is I didn't get the entire answer that you gave me.
right. I said I decided, I guess, pretty early on to make, the little, like you said, the sign with the number saying where you are. So yeah, I thought that would be convenient for readers, and it's worth it to me to give up one slide in the carousel.
Mhm.
You know, one for the title, 9 for telling the story. So,
But that's crazy that you still have 10 because I just got 20 like a few weeks ago.
well, I don't know. Instagram is inscrutable.
Okay, so just so you know, there is a new update coming, and there's gonna be like 20 posts now on the carousel coming, and yeah, so just be ready.
Right. Yeah, they're experimenting. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing about the fact that you were doing a fan fiction is something that I was wondering about because you have so many rules going on when it comes to your character because the character is already made, so you have to follow a strict line of things that they can or cannot say. And do you feel limited by doing it, or do you just go with the flow?
Mm.
Wow,
I
I
don't. You stumped me. I don't feel limited. I did really give this thought at the beginning because Supernatural ran for 15 years. Crazy.
Mhm.
I started this around season 12 for them. And season 13, I'm watching the show, as it happens. And I'm like, the writing is, they're running out of things. It's just,
Mhm.
you can tell they're getting near the end. And I was like, you do I want to wait for it to end? Do I want to start writing things and have it be wrong? You know, not match the show. And so I decided instead, there was a point on the show where a character either died or got saved. On the show, they saved her. And I decided here's where I break off and make it my story starts here. So it's not, how in fan fiction they call it alternate universe.
Mhm.
So my story is not, they're not the original people. They're the alternate universe, which gives me, a little freedom. But yeah, I said, oh, instead, in my universe, she dies. And then I went on and,
Yeah.
just went, yeah. But I do, it's easier, so much easier to write fan fiction than it is to make up your own. Because, people will say, oh, I get comments sometimes like, oh, that was so funny. And it's like, well, that's the writers. Bobby always says funny things, and I just sort of recycle.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more complicated. It's funny that we have a different perspective on that because I feel like it's more complicated to do something that people know about because you are more putting yourself out there, and people can say,
Right.
"Oh no, that's bullshit." Like Sam will never do that, or Sam will never say that. And in my opinion, it's more
Right.
scary somehow.
That is true, but the number of people who are on Dollstagram who are also supernatural, like fanatics, to the point that they would worry about that, is a very,
Yeah,
very
I think
small.
good.
That's why I'm so amazed that I have people actually following the story, because most of the people who really comment a lot and seem to like the story a lot have never watched the show.
Well, I got hooked and I wanted to watch the show because of your account, and I just got not hooked, but I
And you're
still
just
got
like,
hooked.
yeah,
So yeah, that kind of
yeah,
works.
yeah,
And I
that
was kind of
happened.
surprised because you said earlier that you're not having much more skills or something, but when I see the editing that you're doing on your story, it's quite impressive though.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Well, that's the thing. That's doll painting. Painting the face is one thing. Editing something in a computer program, that's a whole different
That's true.
thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a jack of all. I do the costumes, I do the dioramas, the sets, so to speak. I edit. I do it all.
Yeah. Because you had the photo story because there was a ghost going on your story, and I was honestly impressed to see that. No, not that one. And
I know
a
it's
guy
not.
It was nice, not a scary one.
It was a different ghost. I love this one though because she's creepy
Very,
and scary.
yeah, she is fucking scary. Yeah, I can tell you. But the thing is that yeah, I was so amazed because I can't do that, and I like to do some stuff and editing. But when I saw that the photos and he was kind of blurred inside of it, that was so impressive.
Thank you. That was tricky. That was
That was what?
need to be able to two things. One, you
Yeah.
need an editing program that lets you do layers, and because you take the normal picture, take another picture without the ghost, and then you go in
Yeah.
your editing and you put it on as a layer.
Yeah. You'll also
And
freeze frame again.
you just you increase the transparency. But you need a tripod, and you either need the kind separate, because otherwise the camera jiggles, and then you have to have
I
the
think
camera.
there's a
Otherwise,
connection because you keep
uh,
sort of that freeze frame, and then there is like a robotic voice going on,
right.
and
Yeah, that happened with you too. Yeah.
oh, that's good to know. Hold on, maybe it's because of that. Hoping you will get better. I just connected on Wi-Fi, thinking that maybe it will be better.
Okay.
So I think across.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking about the editing of making a ghost appear on photos, and the thing that I was wondering about, because this is one of the main scary thing that I have. How do you do? Hello, Media. She said hello. How do you do when? What do you do when the dolls falls apart, for example, and you have to do another shot?
Right. Yeah. When you're trying to do a ghost, you can't. You literally have it's two pictures. For every scene with a ghost, you have two pictures, and that's the problem. It has to be the absolute same. And that's why it probably got lost. I said you have to have your camera, your phone, or whatever on a tripod, so it's stable, and it helps even more. They have a thing where you just click a separate button, because otherwise you push the camera, it moves just the tiniest bit, it ruins the picture. Yeah. So yeah, if a doll falls over, you have to reset everything and start over to do those. Yeah. And they love to fall down all the time, don't they?
I feel like they're just trying to just mess with us, or just fucked up Earth story and thinking that, oh, you know what, I'm going to do a syndicate break or something, and you're like, what the fuck? You have one job.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
But do you use any stand or stick or whatever to make them stand?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Tell us.
I have some little doll stands. It's so fun. I should just buy some real doll stands. I should just go on eBay. I know. I have a couple that I got at the thrift store. They came with the doll. I have some heavy. They're heavy. I just made out of rolls of pennies, and you lean the doll against it, and it doesn't show in the picture. Yeah. Yeah.
That is good to know.
Oh, yeah, and some of them prop up against each other, like this guy again, Bobby. He's my Bobby singer, and he's heavy. He's a world peacekeepers action figure, so he's heavy and sturdy, and he can hold up several other dolls. I just lean them against each other.
That's how I like my man, heavy and steady.
Yes.
But speaking of you, how do you manage? Because, for example, I've heard that there is a rumor that one of the brother is actually having a gay relationship with an angel. So is it something that you plan to go for, or is just going to happen? And I think you freeze frame again. She freeze frame. here again, Kim? Sure. So there is this rumor that one of the brothers having an affair or love relationship with the angel guy or whatever he's called. Uh, so I was wondering if that's something that you integrate in your
That
story,
whole
or you're
thing
just gonna
glitched.
just
That whole
swipe
thing glitched.
to
Can
the
you ask
left.
real quick the question again? Oh yeah, very gay friendly, I guess is the best word. I did, for a long on the show for a long time they said, "Oh, there's no gay here. There's no gay here." But the fans are like, this the like even the two brother, the two, people get very upset because a lot of fans ship the two brothers as a couple, as even though that's inside. Yeah, but but here's the thing that the story started. The creator of this, Eric Kripke, has said it's based on the Jack Kerouac novel On the Road, in
Mhm.
which Dean, that's the name of the character in the novel, and Sal are gay men who have a relationship.
Ooh.
And they say, this is the part I find hilarious. They say that the producers said, you can't have a main character named Sal. That's not an appropriate name. Well, because um, in the United States, an old fashioned name is Sally. You don't meet many women named Sally anymore, but Sal was a woman's name. And I'm like,
Okay.
you just don't want your macho hunting monsters guy with guns to have a woman's name. But yeah, that it's a little unfair to the fans to say, "Oh, incest, that's disgusting," but it's like the story is based on a romance
Yeah.
between two gay men. So,
That's
the gay Jared Padalecki needs to be gay. Yes, he does. So many fans wanted the two actors, Jensen and Jared, to be gay. Like, which there's nothing wrong with being gay, but also if you are straight, it's very unfair. There was a crazy group of fans who were like, "Oh, they're getting married, to hide that they're gay," and there was all this hatred for their real life wives. Horrible, horrible stuff.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Dean and Castiel, the angel.
Yeah.
I watched the show for a long time and watched, different interviews and things where the man who plays Dean is not gay. And I'm sure he's also thinking about his career in, because now he's gone on to play in The Boys. He plays a character. He's had movie deals, and it's
Yeah.
like it get typecast as playing a gay character that limits, you know, he's an action hero guy. You don't see gay action heroes,
That
unfortunately, even if they
let
could
me
be, you know.
say that.
But
I
anyway,
was about to say that Tom Hanks played on the movie Philadelphia, and he played a guy who
right,
was AIDS and he was gay. And I'm thinking that yeah, we didn't saw him in the action movies, and I don't recall any actor playing in an action movie that have been playing a gay guy on other movies or shows.
right,
But now that you mention it, it's
right.
kind of weird. But
But
yeah,
so,
there is no one
yeah,
coming in line now.
so for a while, I don't want to be one of the crazy fans because Supernatural has those people that are like, Vincent and Jared are really gay and, stuff like that. But over time, I'm like, no, Destiel, that's what they call it, Dean and Castiel, Destiel. I'm like, no, that makes sense to me. And then in the final season, they made it at least that Castiel is in love with Dean. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I
Very,
was
yeah.
yeah, so they didn't make it official yet.
His dead scene, like it's like J.K. Rowling made after the fact. Whenever when the books were done, she said, "Oh well, Dumbledore was gay all the time."
But Dumbledore was gay. Yeah, I remember that. And I was like,
So,
but then she come out with
yeah,
some awful stuff in the end, and I'm thinking that yeah, that's not going to be enough, girl.
yeah. but
Hold on.
but yeah, I made Castiel. Dean knew in my story. Dean, Castiel tells him, I love you, and Castiel did it as I value your friendship. I'm happy to have known you. He knows they're going to die. And he says, you don't have to love me back. I mean, he didn't really say that, but it was, implied that like,
Yeah.
I accept your friendship. If that's all we can have, that's enough for me. I just wanted to tell you that I love you in a romantic way. And then, then he dies. Then in my story, they get him back, and Dean says, hey, you know, let's go
Mm,
for it. We've been very
okay.
close. I'm ready to do this. And I have to reply to the gay dolls. I agree. It's whoever should do the acting should do the acting, like in a perfect world. But whatever. But also
Yeah,
caveat. Caveat though. I think if some of the populations that don't get representation on TV, like I think it's fair to say, if you want to have somebody in a wheelchair, hire an actor that uses a
I agree.
wheelchair.
With
I think
autism,
it's
it's,
fair
you
to,
know, I agree on that. Yeah, yeah. But that's just
yeah,
something that I was kind of happy because Disney is going back on that and casting, like for example, the movie Aladdin. They made a few years ago. They only casted people from Middle Eastern and not white people, American people, like they did for Prince of Persia, for example. And
right.
that is quite something that I really appreciate. For the the fact, for example, being gay or straight, I don't mind nowadays, but I will be more triggered if you cast a cisgender woman to play the role of a transgender woman because there is not that much equity yet
Right.
when it comes to trans identity. So yeah, I think it's you know
Yeah.
either way we all have different opinion about that. So let's just
Yeah.
make it. The thing I was wondering about is that you said that you were working with doing dioramas, for example, and stuff like that. And I was wondering what tools do you use when it comes to building, your dioramas?
I love cardboard.
Oh,
um, I because I started building doll houses when I was a kid.
oh,
Yeah. I really have always loved dolls, and I've always loved the crafting aspect. And even when everybody in the doll community that builds dioramas, the dollstagram, and she has a YouTube, My Froggy Stuff. She's like pretty much famous. And funnily enough, my daughter, who never played with dolls, who didn't care, is the one that said, "You have to watch My Froggy Stuff. She's insane. You've got to watch her. She's incredible." And I started watching her so far back in the day. She was building with cardboard because foam board was kind of a new.
yeah.
I did. They came out with foam board maybe like in the 90s. I don't even remember when, but yeah.
Maybe later on, I think, because it was kind of not really popular, foam boards,
Right.
even during the early 20s. So I think it's quite more 20s era for the foam
Yeah.
board. Yeah,
Yeah.
because in the 90s, when I was a kid and I was building, like few room, we were using cardboard, but mainly because it was recycling and it wasn't that expensive. It was cheap because you got it at home. So,
Right.
our
And
first cereal box was actually walls. So,
that
but
that's
nowadays I'm
my
thinking that
whole
I,
thing.
yeah,
I
I'm thinking
love.
I'm just mind blown because especially nowadays that there is more diversity when it comes to materials. I'm thinking that cardboard and foam board have the tendency to just bend, and I'm just wondering how does people craft in not having the thing to bend? How is it possible?
I know. And that's the thing with, I don't use foam board because it bends just as bad as cardboard, and it's money. And I'm like, I can get bendy cardboard for completely for free.
Agree.
So yes, I learned this on the internet somewhere. I don't remember who, or I'd give credit. Whatever you put on one side, you have to put on the other side. So for instance, if you paint your wall,
Yeah.
once the paint is dry and it's bowed, you paint the other side, and it will
You're
bow
kidding.
back. If you glue to the wall on one side, you have to glue paper on the wall on the other side,
You're
and it
kidding.
evens out. I am not kidding. However, it's not perfect. Mine's still bow a little bit, but what I do, you have to let one side dry completely
Yeah.
because then you're going to lay it down and
Yeah, sure.
put a big book, flatten it. But do that after you do your second, your second side. So if I'm wallpapering, I glue the paper
Yeah.
on one side, glue it on the other, and while it's still, damp, that's when
Yeah.
I lay it down overnight with a great big book on top of it. Yeah.
Fuck me. I
It
never heard of that.
helps a lot. I was going crazy, gluing together layers and trying to figure out how are you going to
Yeah.
make this not crooked all the time, because I only have like one or two room boxes. My dioramas are just the walls. And,
Yeah.
when you're just propping up walls and it's crooked, it looks like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can agree on that. I can relate because I used to use a foam board, and I was just getting so sick and tired of it because it was always bending. And since back then I was only having two walls to create that sort of type of dioramas,
Right.
and yeah, that was just so annoying. And then I just discovered oh fuck me, what's the name again? Polyextrude polystyrene or something like that. Whatever
I saw,
it's called.
I watched some of I watched all the videos I could of you interviewing people just so I would know. Yeah, very good. But also, so I was like, I need to know what, what the format is here.
Yeah.
And while you talk about building with that material, and it looks great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's more sturdy. You can do whatever you want with it, and I just love it because you just have to paint one side, and you just can just let it go, and you don't have bending issues or whatever it's
Right.
called. And I was quite happy because I know that the Mama Bear Jenny is using the same material, so I was like, oh, I'm not the only one doing that. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
And Medea uses cardboard, but there's so much diversity out there. Like I'm looking at the Gay Doll said, I missed some of it, but there are people who just buy a room box that's made
Yeah.
of wood, or
You get your photos and you get fun. You have fun with it. That's at the end of the day, that's the
yeah,
only thing that matters. So who cares?
yeah,
And speaking
yeah.
of,
That's my attitude.
no, but this is something that I really want to just shout out for a moment because Medea, you have this thing that you just go with the flow and you just don't care, you just have fun. And I'm just thinking that it's quite inspiring, especially nowadays because we have so many new dolls coming along with new things and blah 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 and all that thing that is new, buy here, buy there, buy this, buy that. And this is quite reassuring and quite refreshing to see the account like you have and that Medea have, when you just keep it simple and you have the most fun of it. And so thanks you for being inspiring for that.
You are so welcome.
I was just hoping that I
Thank you
didn't
for the.
But yeah, and I was wondering about something because you have different dolls on your story, and I was wondering, did you ever get triggered when you see new dolls coming, or like there is a new doll coming along and you have this fear of missing out one of the dolls because it's brand new and everybody's talking about? That was
Yeah, to some degree, because I think I like to say America, the best at everything. We're number one. But I think as far as capitalism and consumerism, I think the United States, that culture is, I think ours is the most saturated with consumerism. And because I collect dolls, somehow, the internet knows that. And so I see every time I go on YouTube, I see all the new Barbie commercials, all of that stuff. What I do get a lot of desire to buy are the African American male dolls because there are so few of them. And when you are,
gorgeous.
in fact, oh yeah, they're beautiful, they're fantastic. This
Yeah.
is Rufus Turner. He's a main cast member because he was a hunter on the show. He's a GI Joe that I custom.
We lost the sound, I think. Yeah, we lost the sound. We can't hear you. We can hear you now.
I had to plug my phone back in. I was
Ah,
losing battery.
but I'm quite happy because
This has been the
yeah, I
best.
had the same reaction
It's
that I
been the
had
best
that the
protection.
guy is a GI Joe because I never knew he was a GI Joe either. I thought it was a Kendall or some other brand related.
You know, I think the reason, and now I've lost even more light because I had to unplug, but GI Joe dolls' heads are very flat,
Yeah.
and even in the front, like they have the crew cut. I cut off the top of his head quite a bit. It still looks pretty flat, but it's different. And I flocked, put the flocking on there after I made him have a shaved off head. Yeah, I kind of rounded his head. Dressed him different, gave him earrings. I put on a little bit of, you can't see it, but he has a mustache and a little goatee. So yeah, I customized him a lot. But basically, my main cast members, if they're Black, I bought them. This is Tiana. Her head is Tiana, which I did get from a thrift store. But to give her the articulated body, I bought extra. The Barbie extra line when they came out.
Okay.
So the minute I saw they had an African American curvy Barbie extra, I was like, "Girl, your head is going in a shoebox, and your body belongs."
It's gonna be good.
I ran to Target and I spent, normally my dolls cost $2 or $3. I went to Target and I spent $30. 30 US for this doll. Yeah.
I love it. So basically your collection is mainly like doll heaven because it's more likely that you just get a doll from a secondhand sort of supermarket or whatever, and you get them another life and something new. So that's just so cool. And
That
you
is
have so
the
many secondhand.
best way to describe it. Yes, it's doll heaven.
But I love it. I mean, like this is just so. I'm really happy that it was Medea who just said that I had to interview you, and I just get why because your experience and the way you see the doll worlds and the way you collect dolls is just amazing because we did never have this chance to talk about consumerism or overbuying stuff, and you just get secondhand stuff, so you give a second life to things that were just throw. So that's really inspiring.
Now I do want to say, I do not want to criticize people who buy everything.
No,
because
they're
right,
addicted and it's a problem, and then they have a disease and they got to go to therapy.
Well, right, but also so many people are reclaiming their childhood. We have so many male doll collectors, especially. Their families wouldn't let them have Barbies, and so they
glitching again.
know a lot of Black doll collectors, either for whatever reason they didn't have those dolls, and they're reclaiming their childhood in a way. And I think that's a beautiful way to use consumerism.
But I got what you say about the fact that people want to buy somehow their childhood because they didn't have the chance to actually get dolls or whatever when they were kids. That I can understand, to be honest and to be fair. But for example, I went into a fight with the Lucy doll, for example, because of everything that was going on with it. And I was quite surprised because it's been like 2 months or 3 months now, and I don't even hear about her anymore. So people were just getting addicted to the Lucy dolls, and now I don't see any of them. And the title was like Barbie is done, bye bye Barbie, the new Barbie or whatever, and we don't see her anymore. And people just got her over and over and over again. She was oversaturated on YouTube, and we don't see her anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's that I have no hatred for how you collect however you want to collect. I do know Lucy was like put out by Temu, or I don't know,
And Temu.
And anything but to some degree, someone is being exploited all along the chain, the production chain. So, somebody is being exploited. So
Yeah, glitching again.
you're best with what you know. And if I don't know, it's dolls. I
But
don't
yeah,
want to make it too
I get
deep.
the,
It's
the point. But
dolls.
this is when we
We
just,
all.
as we said in
I'm
the beginning,
sorry.
this is the
We're
conception
glitching
of
again.
communism, that we like to have people connected
Your
to each
video
other. Right,
is
the
frozen.
proper
I don't know if you can
communism,
hear
the
me.
one that we see east side of the world, the true communism. What to say?
And care about other people, whatever label you need to put on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that I really find disturbing, especially when it comes to the doll community. Like, for example, few months ago, I saw an account of a woman having Barbie dolls, and she was saying stuff on her account that was just quite homophobic and transphobic. And I was like, do you realize that most people that are creator, designer in Barbie and Mattel are gay? So the doll that you got was inspired and created by someone who was gay. And I'm like, you don't belong in the community. I'm sorry, but like, give your card back and your membership. Just get out of here, you know?
Yeah.
So this is something that I was just quite confused in the doll community, that in my world, in my friends, for example, circle, it is the safest circle I have in my entire life, And this is all connected to the doll community. So it's always good to just focus about what's positive and just trying to put aside every negative thoughts and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are kind of getting at the end because I don't have many more questions, to be honest, except one last question I
cool.
have to ask, which is, who would you like to see in the Chit Chat show for the next episode?
Okay, I had to give this a lot of thought because I had a list of like 12 people.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not going to do that to you. I am good doll friends with Wolverine Land.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, that will be so cool.
Yeah. And tell you what, she completely different. Her husband builds her stuff out of wood. She sews, she does all sorts of stuff, but she is the higher, like no more cardboard for her. And she is less a Barbie. She is much more a action figurine, figure and IT person. So completely,
Yeah, but
great.
That was quite funny because Worldly Land, when I started my first account, she was one of the accounts that got me into the 1/6 scale action figure world, to be honest.
Oh,
got back like 5 years ago, and that's quite funny that you mentioned her. So like mind blowing because you know her, and I was like, yeah.
I already checked with her. I was like, you want to do this, right? And she was like, oh, sure. So there you go.
Cool. That's good to know. Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
Wondering about something, because you said that you were a Supernatural fan. So I'm guessing, and I wonder if you think there is going to be a last season or not of Supernatural.
I mean, they already did the end. They already did the end.
Did they?
Of the show. They did.
But they said they wanted to do another last season, I heard.
Oh, I'm not sure if that is real or not, because the actor who plays Castiel, Misha Collins, he is famous for interacting with the fans, and a lot of times he is just a practical jokester or a troll, trolling the fans. And I think I saw something, I don't want to, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that talking about refilming the last season was his April Fool's joke.
Oh, fuck me.
I think maybe, yeah.
That will make sense then. Thank you so much. If that's
true, I'm sure he made a lot of people angry, I'm sure, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because there is many conspiracy theory going on internet saying that, there's going to be a new season because they didn't say about that and this and that and that. And I was like, yeah, there is like a lot of material for one last season to just buckle up.
Because their final season was during the COVID lockdown. And when you know that, when you look at the episodes, you can see how the decisions were made to keep as many people offset as possible.
Mm.
The monsters are actually wearing masks. They're wearing like rubber Halloween masks in one of the scenes. And at first you're like, that is so stupid, but then you're like, wait, for people's health and safety, they had to find some way, so yeah, props to them for carrying on. But
honestly, yeah, because there will be, yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Because that was with us
the ending was, yeah,
but they were,
the ending really wasn't what any of us wanted, but meh.
but speaking of one last question, I think I'm gonna let you go after that, I promise. But the thing is that I was wondering, because you started dolls like before COVID, so did COVID impacted your doll photography, or did it just make it stronger, or you just like, well,
Made it stronger because I quit my job. I have a physical, I have arthritis,
okay,
and it had already started affecting not my ability to do my job, but after a day of working, I would come home and go to sleep on the couch. And for the week, my weekends were spent lying around on the couch, resting up for the next. And then when COVID came, I worked in a school, and the business with so many parents being like, oh, they pay you $17 an hour, you should be willing to die to come in person and teach. I mean, they don't say that out loud, but the people saying, oh, COVID's no big deal, you should be in the school working in person with my kid, who they're a little kid, they can't wear a mask, they're sneezing, it's going everywhere, and my doctor
drink bleach.
right, and it was before they had the vaccine and whatnot, and
Yeah, clearly.
I was like, I'm getting near the end of my ability to do this job anyway. So yeah, one day I was not very professional, but I had an argument with administration over the safety of myself, and I said, okay, bye. Yeah, everyone's dream to just be like, screw this job,
Yeah.
bye.
Right? I would love to do that.
And so then I had, all day, every day to play with dolls. So I'm living the dream.
Yeah. And for that is actually the best way to finish the interview. This is the best sentence ever. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much to just keep going, even with all the glitch and all the stuff that happened during this.
Right. Well,
and I'll send you.
Thank you, and awesome.
Yeah, and I will send you a DM when I'm gonna do the edits and posting it on YouTube and Spotify, so you'll be notified.
Awesome. I'm gonna be famous.
Yeah, bring that money. Thank you again, and have a lovely day. Thank you so much. Bye.